There was a story about signs along the Mexican border telling people to come and move into Waukegan. This legend explains why the Hispanic population in Waukegan is so high. Mexicans have always been a part of Waukegan's community, but the thousands who started pouring into the town in the 1980s surprised everyone. The title Hispanic refers to a multitude of cultures and countries of origin. The common link among them is the Spanish language. Today, they make up the largest group in Waukegan. In the 1980 census, the Hispanic population was 13.7%. By the year 2000, Hispanics made up 45% of the population. The most recent census information shows that Hispanics make up 53% of the population, and they also make up the largest group in the city schools. In 1970, the population in Waukegan was 65,134. The city had been a haven for many immigrant groups, largely from Europe in the early 20th century. Today's population is just over 89,000. In recent years, the population growth evolved due to Hispanics immigrating to Waukegan. Shortly after Puerto Ricans were given American citizenship, a small but steady population from the island made their way to Waukegan. In little more than a generation, 10,000 Puerto Ricans have established themselves in Lake County, mostly attracted by family members or townsmen who preceded them here. Additionally, more than 17,000 Spanish-speaking people have either migrated in or around Waukegan or have been born of migrant parents. Puerto Ricans weren't the only Hispanic group to migrate here. Waukegan is inhabited by several other Latin American groups. A solid Puerto Rican community existed in Waukegan by the 1960s, where hundreds of Latino families owned homes. Edwin Montano, the Puerto Rican Society founder, had come to Chicago from Puerto Rico. While in Chicago, he heard about Waukegan, saying,
"Somebody in Chicago told me Waukegan was a place with a lot of smokestacks. That meant jobs, and that was what I was looking for."
Latinos came to the United States for a better life, determined to leave poverty and hunger behind them. In their homelands, poverty was common and work was scarce. Images for a better life filtered down from the United States.
Alright, so I came here specifically here because my aunt was here, and back in Mexico, my family didn't have a good situation, like with money, I guess. Yeah. So by coming here, we had my aunt. We moved into Waukegan. I mean, now a lot of people criticize Waukegan because it's kind of violent as well, but when you compare it to Mexico and to where I'm from, it's better.
Mexicans established life patterns in Waukegan as early as the 1930s. Latinos wanted the steady work and incomes they saw were available in the north. Immigrants came to this country for strictly economic reasons, and they were generally satisfied with the outcome. Mexicans found attractions here that were unknown at home. One of the luxuries of the north was regular employment, at least in the summer. For a Mexican, the rewards of crossing the border and getting to industrial Illinois was well worth the risk. They came from Mexico, Texas, and California looking for work and to escape corruption and crime back home. Families moved in with relatives and friends in frequently rural homes that rent at the rock bottom, $170 to $220, according to Concho Martinez, head of the Lake County League of Latin American Citizens. Two small towns in southern Mexico helped reshape Waukegan's future,
"My children say I'm from La Luz, even though they were born in Waukegan,"
said Carlos Marquez. His hometown in Mexico, La Luz, was said by residents who have sent as many as 3,000 immigrants a year to Waukegan in the 1990s.
"All year round, people from my town are coming,"
said Gerardo Popoca, a 20-year Waukegan resident born in the town of Tonatico. Immigrants from Tonatico, about 50 miles southwest of Mexico City, and La Luz, about 200 miles northwest of it, sometimes claim that their town is the single largest contributor of Mexican-born residents of Waukegan. Some of the most respected people in the Mexican-American community in Waukegan say that there may be more than 3,000 former Tonatico residents in the city. It is estimated that perhaps 2,500 Tonatico townspeople have moved to Waukegan, with perhaps 1,000 of that number having crossed the border illegally. Tonatico and La Luz may account for 20% of Waukegan's Hispanic population of about 30,000. This phenomenon, often called chain migration, is very much a part of Waukegan's immigration story, both past and present.
Lake County Puerto Ricans and Mexicans were launching a second generation of sons and daughters to make their way in the world. They entered the job market with better education and higher expectations than most of their parents who were born on their homeland island. As they went on their own looking for jobs, they faced inequities. They couldn't get into the trade unions they desired because they were Latinos. Able workers were kept out of management posts in government and industry. These groups of immigrants also had to face the struggles of trying to become financially stable. Latinos had no say to where they stood in economic equality. Income levels of Latino families generally were marked lower than the average in Lake County. In 1975, the average income of a Latino household in Lake County was about $5,000 a year, according to John Cullinan, director of the Illinois Job Service Office in Waukegan.
That was well under the average of about $10,000 earned by the average Lake County family.
Cullinan said, "These figures put the average Latino family in the economically disadvantaged bracket by federal standards. Recent immigrants considered themselves lucky if they found a job, even though they were frustrated by low wages."
A trabajar directamente. Al segundo día de llegar aquí fue cuando empecé a trabajar luego en una compañía de yarderos.
¿Compañía de yarderos?
Compañía de yarderos, duré 2 años. A los 2 años empecé a trabajar lavando carros, un car wash, por 6 meses. Y luego cuando empecé a trabajar en la construcción.
Immigrants often took jobs with nurseries and landscape companies, but they were frequently underpaid. One landscaper in Lake Forest paid Mexicans $2.75 an hour in the summer of 1977, while paying other newcomers $4. Sam Sanchez, owner of El Chaparral restaurant on 10th Street in Waukegan, said the fortunate Mexican workers work with construction companies, but many unions discourage Latino membership, and some Latino construction workers are paid $4, while others are making $8.
My first job was in the kitchen. I was dishwashing. Like I came right back to right now. But yeah, my very first job here was as a dishwasher, and my second major job was landscaping, which was about 2 years ago. And I feel like that's the most memorable job that I've had as an immigrant because I felt like I was, I don't know, a typical immigrant.
Latinos in Waukegan did not only face economic struggles, but also social and political inequities. In 2007, thousands of people went to City Hall to protest the city's proposed extension of immigration enforcement. The proposed law, called 287G, would have allowed Waukegan officers to start deportation proceedings for immigrants convicted of serious crimes. Latino residents took to the streets and were fed up with mistreatment from the police. A group of 3,000 people rallied in front of Waukegan City Hall to protest against the 287G. Fortunately for Latinos, their voices were heard and 287G never became a law. Discrimination in other forms, however, continues. Even as they faced hardship, Waukegan Latinos have successfully expanded into commercial business. The most visible was Soto's Furniture on Genesee Street in downtown Waukegan. 7 Latino grocery stores served the community in Waukegan, and Latinos from all over the country gathered in the neighborhood of Belvedere and Genesee on weekends to shop. Although many Hispanic entrepreneurs started their ventures in basements, garages, or the front rooms of their homes, many failed and few achieved the success of Luis Gonzalez. Luis Gonzalez from Mexico started in 1981, and his family now owns 4 Supermercado Gonzalez grocery stores in North Chicago, Waukegan, Joliet, and Round Lake. This sort of success personifies the American dream. Leaving their native countries was hard, but all of these group of Latinos came simply in search of a better life. Although they left violence and corruption behind, they came to face big struggles which only made their motivation to become better even bigger. Hispanics to this day still immigrate to the United States and Waukegan, all in search for opportunities and the idea of the American dream. Immigration might be a politically charged topic in the United States, but Americans should remember that it was immigrants that built this country, just as immigrants have helped to build Waukegan, Illinois.